sophomore at James High School and an active member of his community. He is a varsity tennis player, involved in student leadership, HOSA, UNED, Science Olympiad, and even founded James Coaching Club. After spending years playing the cello orchestra, Pierre began to question what it really means to stay committed to something. Through his own experience stepping away, he became interested in why quitting can feel like failure and how that mindset affects students today. In his TED Talk, Pierre explores the balance between persistence and self-awareness and why learning to reevaluate our commitments may be one of the most important skills we can develop. Everyone, please welcome to the stage, Pierre Bengal.
When I first told my mom I wanted to quit orchestra, she genuinely looked me in the eyes and told me my heart just dropped from here to here. And though she thought it was a serious comment, me, my brother, and my dad all sighed at each other and started busting out laughing. At some point in our lives, all of us have wanted to quit something, whether it's a sport, an instrument, a class, or a club, anything like that. And usually, when we admit that to an adult, we hear the same advice: push through it. And honestly, that advice comes from a good place. Most things reach a point where they stop being fun. Your motivation drops, it gets harder, and you plateau. But if we quit the moment things get hard, we'd never be able to build discipline, resilience, or confidence. Most of the time, pushing through this challenging phase is exactly what we need to bring our enjoyment back. Like being in love with a video game that you've been stuck on for the past 2 weeks. But what happens whenever pushing through stops helping us grow and slowly starts wearing us down instead? The problem is, we hear this advice so often that we stop questioning it. We apply it automatically, and we stay in activities because we've already invested time, effort, or identity into it, not because it's so right for us. Psychologists call this the sunk cost fallacy, which is the idea that once we've invested into something, we feel obligated to keep going, even if it's no longer benefiting us. And when this happens, growth can slowly turn into burnout. Allow me to share a personal experience. My journey in orchestra started in 6th grade when we were offered 3 elective courses: PE, band, and orchestra. And as a very active kid who mostly just wanted to be with his friends, I chose PE. Seeing as I didn't get a TED Talk over how I quit orchestra, you guys can guess how that went. After some back and forth and a little hesitation on my part, I did in fact decide to go to orchestra. And like most new things when you're 11, it was pretty fun. I made new friends, learned how to read music, learned how to play the cello, and learned what it felt like to actually work at something and improve. It was like scrolling reels whenever your For You page is all this random AI food videos. But over time, and in middle school, this enjoyment continued. There's new music, new friends, and trips to theme parks, even if I was too scared to go on and realize. But slowly but surely, a shift started to occur. Orchestra slowly became less about the class and more about the people. I was showing up for the enjoyment of hanging out with my friends, not for the enjoyment of actually playing the cello. Then, in high school, this feeling became impossible to ignore. I had done pretty good, even making it into the highest level, but it came with a cost. I left friends behind, and the class itself started to become more demanding. The music got harder, the practices became more constant, and I started to feel myself get burnt out. And orchestra didn't feel like something I looked forward to, rather it was something I was marking being dedicated to. Then, about a month before summer started last year, I became an artist. And no, it wasn't because of playing too much rock music on the show. But in that time, when I couldn't practice the cello or couldn't participate in orchestra at all, I noticed something surprising. Without the constant expectation to practice or the stress associated with it, I felt better. Around the same time, some of my friends also informed me that they were planning on quitting. And that's when I really started to question it. Did I actually want to stay in orchestra next year? Or was I just planning to stay because I always had? When I brought this up to my brother and a family friend, they both told me that the decision was mine and that quitting wouldn't be seen as failure. 4 AP classes, as well as I want to focus on tennis. So did I really want the added stress of orchestra on top of everything else? When I brought it up to my parents, the reaction was much different, and my mom was especially sad. I think we all know how moms react in moments like that, as if you made like a life-altering decision on the spot instead of actually thinking about it, especially when they love the thing that you decided to quit. They reminded me that the cello was a valuable skill to have, and that I was good at it. They told me to push through this hard part of the journey. But I realized something. I realized that I already had been pushing through for over a year. And while I was having fun at times, it wasn't because of the orchestra itself, it was because of the people. And I could find those connections elsewhere in something that I actually enjoyed doing. The point of the story isn't whether quitting orchestra was the right or wrong decision, it's that we rarely ever stop, pause, and reflect on our commitments. To look at them with new eyes and ask ourselves whether it's still worth it or not. Once something becomes a part of our identity, an AP student, an athlete, a musician, it starts to feel permanent. Walking away doesn't just feel like quitting for an activity, it feels like quitting a part of ourselves. And this mindset can have real consequences. The American Psychological Association Stress in America survey found that teens reported high levels of stress, sleeping problems, and emotional exhaustion, often tied to school and extracurricular activities. Instead of building resilience, constant pressure without a purpose leads to emotional exhaustion. Looking at this with new eyes means realizing that quitting isn't always the stronger choice. Sometimes the stronger choice is to take a step back and to question whether our commitments still fit who we are, not who we were. So how can we do this? The solution isn't that quitting is always the answer, it's that persistence should be intentional, not automatic. So the next time you're studying up for another season, another year, or another AP class, we should ask ourselves some honest questions. Like, am I still learning? Do I feel challenged in a healthy way? I'm mostly just stressed out. And if I were to go back, would I honestly choose this activity again? Psychologists found that reflection is the strongest predictor of long-term motivation and satisfaction, meaning that if we reflect, we are a lot more likely to actually enjoy the things we participate in. Another solution is changing how adults respond to doubting students. Instead of immediately saying push through it, parents, teachers, and coaches can ask why. When I talk to the people around me, they didn't pressure me to stay or to leave, they helped me think. And that kind of support helps with self-trust and leads to better decisions. Finally, we should normalize changing paths. And yes, this applies to all you guys whose daily lives are eat, sleep, reels, repeat, especially you guys. Quitting one thing often creates space for another. In my case, it is for tennis and harder classes, but it could also be for a new hobby or simply just balance. Let me leave you with this. We're often told to stick with what we started, especially when we've invested time, effort, or identity into it. And usually, that's exactly what we need. But growth also means looking at the things we've been doing on autopilot for so long and asking ourselves a simple question: is this still right for me? Thank you.